It's not a great thing because what it means is that all these charts have recently undergone the Saturn return. And I speak from personal experience as well because I just came out of my Saturn return. So it's really not a great thing because it means that there was a lot of difficult tensions and things building up to this point. Because anybody who has gone through Saturn return will tell you that it's really usually not a very pleasant experience. It really forces you to transform, find your purpose, find what you're supposed to be doing in the world for the next 30 years. So it is really not a pleasant experience, even for someone like me who has Saturn in its own sign and it's quite okay and it's quite happy. It still wasn't very easy. So I can just imagine how bad it must be for people who has Saturn in debilitation or in full or in detriment. Because Saturn return has recently passed, it means probably that the situation with the Ukraine and Russia has the Saturn return has actually escalated it in a way. So it's probably not the greatest thing. As mentioned before, Venus is literally between a rock and a hard place because she is sitting between Mars and she is sitting between Saturn. Now, this is a very difficult situation because she is occupying a space in Saturn's castle, and that means that Saturn is the landlord, Saturn is the king, Saturn makes the rules. She has to abide by all his whims and needs. Saturn believes that that space belongs to him anyway. So, same with Russia. Russia believes that that space belongs to him anyway, which is the Ukraine. So, as much as little Venus squirms and squeals, she's not going to get out of this situation very easily, especially because she's got enemies on both sides, Saturn and Mars. And I suspect that Saturn represents Russia because Venus represents, obviously, the rising sign. And the rising sign is always the person that you're asking the question about, or the person asking the question. Because she has these two malefics on either side, I really get the feeling that she's like almost in jail. She's being kept prisoner because she's not in a sign of dignity. This is actually quite ironic because Russia, if you listen to them and the little bits that I've picked up here and there, is that Russia actually believes that Ukraine belongs to it and that Ukraine never deserved to get their independence in the first place. And as you've heard me say, I suspect that she has enemies on both sides, which means that I think at a later stage, Russia will get an ally that will fight with them if the Ukraine resists too much or if third parties get involved like the West. What's interesting is that Russia is Saturn and Mars is also in Aquarius with Saturn. So I suspect that both these nations or enemies of the Ukraine will have high technology advances that the rest of the world might not be aware of. And that is not a good situation at all.